Hello, this is Uncommon Fossil, and today I'm presenting the fifth and final deck in the series, Is This Better Than Lugia? In today's featured deck, Arceus Tapu Koko has very, very impressive credentials. It's got a 58% win rate in Limitless on online tournaments. This is 6% higher than Arceus Flying Pikachu, and at least 4% higher than any other decks that I've talked about in this series. So 58% win rate, very impressive. So as the name implies, it features Tapu Koko VMAX. Obviously, you have Arceus to help accelerate and set things up. So Tapu Koko VMAX, 320 HP, kind of standard for a VMAX these days. It's got a max shock attack that does 180 damage, and if you're behind on prizes, your opponent's active Pokemon's paralyzed. So obviously, lightning, hitting things for lightning weakness is obviously good against Lugia or Palkia if you run into that. But also, it's got this comeback ability by paralyzing your opponent if you're behind on prizes. It uses a V from a different set. There is a V from the battle styles, but it uses the V from Sword and Shield. It has free retreat, so therefore you have all your other basic V Pokemon have free retreat except for Arceus. So if you have to start the Flying Pikachu V or a Tapu Koko V, as long as you get the Arceus into play, you can switch it into the active because you want to set up with Arceus. So, and also the Tapu Koko V has a very nice attack, Thunderous Bolt, for 3 energy, does 200 damage. Then it can't attack the next turn, but it has free retreat, as I said, and also you could evolve it to the VMAX the following turn and then use that attack, which also is for 3 energy. So it enact 208 damage. It's more damage than the VMAX does. It also carries a 1/1 line of Flying Pikachu, which we talked about before, so I'm not going to go over that now. That's obviously a tech for those matchups, and an Arceus 2/3 Arceus V-Star line. So those are the Pokemon, pretty straightforward. 9 basic lightning energy, because obviously you need the basics to accelerate with Arceus, and then the full set for the DTEs to help get that Arceus set up as quickly as possible. A mix of trainers here, a good number of supporters. Plays 4 boss, so it's really looking to kind of control the action, trying to get your opponent stalled at times. 4 path also, 2 Temple of Sinnoh, again trying to control the action, and a decent number of Pokemon search, 4 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 1 Incense, and the Trekking Shoes to kind of help you go and set up, because the deck doesn't really have an engine. It just has Arceus's V-Star power, and that's it. So having 4 Trekking Shoes helps. Having 1 Pokégear, it helps you see a supporter on your turn. So let's jump in the ladder and see how the deck performs. This of all the 5 decks, this is the one deck I haven't played before this series, so I'm still learning to work how this deck operates. I gotta say, trying to figure out the angles and the different moves in time. So, but obviously this deck has a lot of upside. This certainly is a good contender for being better than Lugia. I did play Arceus and Teleon for a while, so I have a certain familiarity with the Arceus decks and how that works. Obviously, this is without the Inteleon engine, just relying on the basic Pokemon themselves. So this is a deck without an engine, so kind of like Arceus Duraludon, which I played a decent number of times. I also certainly played Victini VMAX, another deck without an engine. So got the Tapu Koko as a starter, but I have access to my Arceus, so that's good. And as I mentioned, I have free retreat here. So up against Hisuian Gudra, so it will be tricky. Let's see what I hit with this. So boss is not. What do I have for supporters? So I will, since I already have a boss in hand, there's a lot in the deck. I'm willing to get rid of this Pokemon. So what do I want to get going here? I will just get an Arceus into play. I'm going to wait on playing Path till next turn. I might not need it. It might not really help me, but no reason to retreat here. so I will just pass. So I can evolve. Hopefully, my opponent doesn't play down path. Then I have a problem, right? Then I guess I still retreat and I just use Arceus's first attack and accelerate energy to the Goodra. So they are looking probably putting down a comfy. I assume it's a Lost Zone engine. Goodra used to play Arceus, and I tried out that build also. But all right, so that is quite nice. So very, very nice for me. So I'm going to so I won't get the knockout, but that's okay. Do I want to? I don't want a Marnie. Let's see what I get here. Serena, not bad. I might want to use that. So V-Star Power, Starbirth, get a Lightning Energy, and what else do I want? I have the Incense. I mean, I could get the Flying Pikachu into play also. That has value in this matchup also, I think. So maybe I do that. I'll make that play. I might want a boss still. So do I want to evolve my Tapu Koko? I think I might. I could hit into the Goodra though too, which then sets up the Goodra one shot away from getting knocked out. And I think I like that. What did I do? Did I grab the wrong? What happened? The game's froze up on me, right? Okay, there we go. The incense was just sitting in the active, and I couldn't do anything. So I got very nervous there. So 180, accelerate 3 energy. The Flying Pikachu might have been the better play. That's where, against Lost Zone, I haven't, my lack of experience with the deck and the options might betray me here. Obviously, Flying Pikachu, well, it's immune to the Cramorant, right? Okay, so my opponent just did not set up, so good game for me. So let's jump in and do it again. That game was quick, and it showed that the deck certainly can set up nicely, but there wasn't a lot of detailed gameplay there. So jumping in again, see what my second matchup is, see what I can get the deck to do. Again, you want to start the Arceus V with this deck list, but because the other Vs have free retreat, it's not terrible if you have to start something else, like I did that turn, right? As long as I had access to the Arceus V and I had the DTE, so it was a very good starting hand for me. Obviously, if I didn't have a Pokemon with free retreat, it would have made things much more difficult for sure. All right, so Arceus, that's a good, double turbo, a couple Trekking Shoes, a nice starting hand. So up against Lugia. So someone looking to do a post-rotation deck, I guess. It's Lugia with the single strike build, right? That's and Deoxys too. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess just because they're looking for different special energies, so Deoxys makes sense too. So capturing Aroma. So this may be a strictly post-rotation deck with someone trying stuff out here. Right, flip a coin. It's a weird card, right? So at this point, they're happy with a basic or an evolution. I'm not really so sure that there was a capturing Aroma. Is that what it is? Is a card that I'm really looking forward to playing. I may be having to put it in some decks though, because obviously with rotation, we are losing a number of things. All right, so Stonejourner also. So hitting me for weakness. So the Flying Pikachu, though, looks like that's going to be important, right? Because that is lightning weak. So a boss does seem kind of nice, doesn't it, here? All right, I'll take the boss. I'm not sure that I want the boss, but that's a nice card for sure. So I want that. I'm going to set up... I don't think I want a rope. So I want to... Well, I could Temple of Sinnoh also, couldn't I? I don't know if I really want that, though. All right, keep... I want to keep the rope. I might keep the rope. All right, I'll get rid of boss, figuring I want a rope on my turn. So he actually resists fighting. So for flying, let me check. Do I have the VMAX? Oh, yes, I do. Okay, so I'm going to accelerate to my Flying Pikachu. He will be immune to damage and such. I can't play Temple because then I can't attack myself. So I will throw them all down on the Flying Pikachu, and we'll see. I may be trying to ride the Flying Pikachu to victory in my Tapu Koko VMAX deck, right? It plays the 1/1 Flying Pikachu. Certainly, it's useful sometimes against basics, which they're basic attackers here, the Deoxys, the Stonejourner, but then it also has a different weakness, which is important, right? Obviously, my opponent was smart getting their Stonejourner into play. I mean, the downside is they tip their hand that they're playing a fighting Pokemon. If they didn't play the Stonejourner, I might have put down my Tapu Koko, because there's a good chance I'm going to be behind at the end of this turn. But if that's the case, that's the case, right? So I play for Path in the deck, but don't have access to that. Okay, so they only got one Archeops into place, and now I really wish I had kept that boss, because that would be very nice now. So what do I want to do here? It's a good question. So I think I want to boss him up, right? I should have boss here. I should have boss in deck. I'll get a boss. And what else do I want? It's a good question. Maybe I should just grab another boss or something. Just put myself in a really strong... Oh, what happened here? Oh, I didn't mean to do that at all. I meant to use the V-Star power. So I don't want to accelerate anything. So that was a big mistake. Big mistake by my part. I meant to use the ability. I attacked. So that could cost me game there. Let's see. I mean, I was in a really strong position. I misclicked. I meant to click the ability, and I didn't. So at this point, though, I can evolve. It's not great. That was a big mistake. Wow, big mistake. Because I should have knocked out the Archeops, which would have crushed my opponent, I gotta say. But let's see what happens. I have access. Trekking Shoes. So do I want to... All right, I'll Trekking Shoes first. I will ditch that because I would like a boss. No. So what do I get rid of? I'll get rid of the special, the DTE, right? No. DTE. I could rope them. I could rope them. Because then I assume I'll hit into the Lugia, which is quite nice to me. They're going to attack with Lugia next turn. Yeah, I'll rope. I think they have to send up the Lugia because I can't afford the Archeops to be knocked out. But they also, I'll chuck him down. I'll throw him down too. My opponent knows what I'm doing here. Oh, that's right. They're weak to me, so I take the knockout. So I am in a very nice position here, right? So Flying Pikachu coming through like a champ in the deck. Obviously, if one of the pieces was prized, I'd be in trouble. So I'm immune to damage by basics. Tyranitar. So we'll see what I do here. I'd like to get a boss for sure. I don't believe the Stone Journal will hit through me. So I think, do I want to get another? So they conceded. They were in a tough spot, right? I don't know. I wasn't guaranteed the win at that point, but I had them pretty well. I was a very strong dominant position. So again, game went very nicely there. So we'll jump into a third game. Things are going quickly. This deck right now it's set up very nicely both turns, and that's one of the key things, right? Which I haven't played the deck enough to know. Does it set up often enough, right? And I made a major misplay that turn, right? I attacked when I meant to use the ability, which I would have knocked out the Archeops that turn, and then my opponent would have been completely crushed at that point. I would have gotten that, and I would have evolved that turn on my Flying Pikachu, which would have put me in such a huge position. Now, it's obviously a VMAX heavy deck, right? Playing 3 VMAXs and 3 V-Stars. So there's the potential for my opponent just knocking out 2 Pokemon and winning the game. But similar to like Lugia Duraludon, Arceus Duraludon, I'm sorry, right? You make them knock out the 2 prize Arceus and then hit through 2 VMAXs is a nice condition. So this is not the start I would have liked, right? At this point, I don't have Arceus. I don't have DTE. I don't necessarily have access to it. I'm going second, so I do have Pokégear, so I'll top deck a card, and then I will look at the top, I believe, 7 cards in my deck and can search out a trainer. This is not terrific, I don't think. So we'll see what happens, see what they have. So this is this Oricorio here. Yes, Oricorio with the fancy art there. Mew's a very good deck. I myself want to start working on Mew because it really is the deck to be. It's one of the decks to be playing post-rotation, right? It gets affected by rotation less than any other deck in Standard. And I think at this point, as a budget player, when rotation comes, I've been thinking how I want to handle it. I'll talk more in future videos, but I want to make decks with the cards I already have in my collection, not going crafting a bunch of cards at first, because I don't think that's the best use of resources. And obviously a deck, they didn't get energy down, so that is quite nice for me. So I have a path too, which is good. Nothing there. That part's not good at all. So let's see what happens. So Mew, I don't need to waste the rope, right? I don't think there's a reason for the big parasol, is there? I don't think so. So, flip a coin. So my opponent's paralyzed, so if they can't evolve, they can't do anything, right? Now, there's a good chance they can evolve, but I did get the path down up, so they're bumping the path. So I probably lose this turn. That's most likely the scenario here. Getting the Mew VMAX into play, and that gives them game right there. So, right, just adding a little bit more to it. I don't think they needed that. So good job by my opponent. So there it goes, right? So I did not set up at all. So 3 games, 2 times I set up nicely. In those games, my opponent did not set up. The 3rd game, I didn't set up, and my opponent did. So let's jump in. It's been quick games so far. So let's jump in. See 4th game. See how it goes. Hopefully the deck continues to set up. That which is always the first test of a deck, right? Does the deck work? Does it do what it's supposed to do? Then you can start to worry about is it built for the different matchups you have. But I don't think I really had any choices that game. So that is what it is. You get games like that for sure. The deck doesn't have an engine really, but that wasn't the case. That wasn't the problem with this game, though, right? I just didn't get the pieces I need. Now the deck doesn't play a lot of basic Pokemon, right? It plays six basic Pokemon, all V's. So I only have 6 starting Pokemon. So there's going to be times that I don't get a second Pokemon in play, which is what happened there. But I do play, 4 Quick Ball in the deck, 4 Ultra Ball. All right, so Avery, DTE, Path. Let's see, Mulligan 1. Can I get to Mulligan 2 here? So Duraludon. So, okay. So, how's this going to go for me? I'm not sure. It's a good question, right? A good question. So, Flying Pikachu. I do want to get the Tapu Koko into play and 1 Arceus. And hopefully get a DTE, right? That's the goal here. Get the DTE onto Arceus. I think I'm going to... I really need the DTE, so I'm going to get rid of that. All right, do I want to... All right, I'm going to ditch... Maybe I should have done that first, just thin the deck a little bit. I got to get DTE or something that will get me a DTE, right? Oh, that's what I want. So that is beautiful. So DTE. I think Tapu Koko. I want to try to finish the game with Tapu Koko. I believe that's my game plan. So I have both V's here, which isn't bad. So I'm going to throw down the 3. I think... I want to save Tapu Koko for last, so I'm going to make my point very clear here that I'm attacking with Flying Pikachu. Actually, I may attack with Arceus depending what happens here. I'm not sure. If I get the VMAX, I would like to get the VMAX. So I've got to kind of think this direct. I could hard retreat the V, send up the Flying Pikachu, hit in with the Flying Pikachu. My opponent's probably going to get to evolve, so Flying Pikachu's tankiness of being immune to basics probably is of no value here. All right, so they're going to get their V-Star, which then gets them the Starbirth ability to draw 2 more cards, so they'll evolve the Duraludon, I assume. Well, they already have that in hands, so they haven't used Starbirth. I assume they'll use Starbirth here too, but we'll see. There's no weakness issues for either of us. Duraludon has no weakness. I'm not weak to them. They're not weak to me. So they do 210, I believe. So they missed the knockout. They played down the path. And they hadn't used their ability yet. So that part's interesting. They've blocked themselves with it. Obviously, it stops me from using my ability. So what do I do here? I evolve. I retreat. I guess I start powering up the... that's a good question. Maybe I'll power up the Arceus. That's okay. Still make him take 5 prizes. They may actually share out the Arceus. I may be helping them in a sense by hitting in, but I'm in 2-shotting the Arceus. I might have to be 3-shotting the Duraludon, right? I'll have to see how that works out. I can two-shot it with the Tapu Koko. At this point, my opponent's going to get ahead of me in prizes at some point, and then I need to attack with Tapu Koko. So what do I get? Am I going to retreat? I could attack with Arceus this turn, too. I could do that. So do I want to take the 2 prizes? Do I want to accelerate energy here? That's a good question, Jeff. As I uncommon fossil. All right, talking to myself. Really not certain about this play here. I will attack. Maybe I should have accelerated. I'm not sure. These prizes don't really help me. They're meaningless prizes, but in one sense they're meaningless because I still have to get 6 prizes, right? I'm gonna have to take out 2 VMAXs. In the other sense, though, it's not wasted because my opponent was gonna make me knock out that Arceus probably, right? So I was gonna have to expend a turn attacking it, so that wasn't terrible. Avery, obviously no impact to me. I don't have a big bench. With this deck, you don't really play a big bench. Sharon's Care would be useful in this game. So wait, what happened there? So send up the Arceus. All right, so I will grab. All right, I get my V-Star. Well, that's nice. And I'm going to grab a path, right? So that works out well. Let's look at my hand here. Yeah, I'll grab a path after this. And I will... It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get through this game, for sure. So I'll use my Starbirth ability, not the attack. Good. So I need a path for this turn. And then what else do I need? Do I want to... I'm probably going to lose this game, aren't I? Maybe I want a Marnie. I'm going to want to disrupt, I guess. I think that's part of my play here. So... hit into them. My path shuts off their ability. Might as well attach. Attach. Sure, when I attach to him. Yeah, I mean, my opponent's probably knocking me out. That's the best thing, honestly. The worst thing is my opponent gusts up my Tapu Koko on the bench, I think, right? Because I'm going to have to paralyze them. I'm behind on prizes already, so I can use that. That's rough for me. I really didn't want to get the Flying Pikachu into play, but I believe that's what I started the game with, so I had no choice there. So I'm going to Marnie them just to... but ultimately, I'm going to lose this game here. I am pretty sure. So, but they're at 150. So Marnie, and maybe then I hit through the Duraludon, right? He's at 150. So I'm going to switch there and I do 180. I get the knockout here, right? I'm no longer behind on prizes. I'm very vulnerable here, but I actually have a chance to win. No, I don't. I'm never going to be behind on prizes, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, so I misplayed things, and even if I did paralyze them, my opponent can hold off on evolving till next turn. So I'm going to come up short here. I'm ahead in prizes, so kind of surprised they didn't rope there, right? Rope would give them game, right? Which they didn't take. So good job by my opponent. So it worked well. Getting down to one prize card was not good for me at all. So anyway, so my opponent has game here. So I certainly miscalculated things because I thought I could get down. I was counting on the fact that I could have paralyzed him with that attack, but obviously I miscounted the prizes. So poor play on my part, poor planning, cost me a chance to win. I'm not sure, it wasn't a great start, but I didn't maximize my decision making because I misread the situation. But the deck, even that last game, it didn't set up ideally, but it set up okay. So this deck has the potential to be a top tier deck, maybe even the potential to be one of the best decks of the game, if not the best, right? That 58% win rate, very impressive, done by over 100 players in online events, so it's not a fluke. The deck, even though it doesn't have an engine, has set up pretty well. So I got to say, it's a strong deck. I got to play this deck some more, and I might come back with another video with some adjustments once I get a better feel for the deck. But I certainly encourage you, if you have the cards, try it out. It really is a contender for BDIF. Take care.